Let's get cracking. So, yes, first of all, we've got an update from Help Through Crisis. So, Mojda and Julie, would you like to take the floor and just give a brief update about the new developments? That would be great.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'll kick off and then I'll hand over to Mojda. So, Help Through Crisis, as Toby mentioned, is a project which has been going on. We're now in our 5th year. And we just had our funding, as Toby mentioned, extend the project for another 3 years. It's a partnership between the Ealing and Hounslow CVS, the West London Equality Centre, and the Ealing Law Centre. And we support people in crisis who are coming through to us mostly through the food bank, although challenging at the moment as the food banks had not all up and running, but hopefully will be soon. And we've been fortunate enough also to be able to extend these services to our clients because the Ealing and Hounslow CVS are going to be managing the West London Library, and we'll be creating an advice hub within the library. Hopefully when all that settles, that will be opening in June. So we'll be able to have some clients who are coming through us to the food bank or through other referrals that we can then help them within that West Ealing Library. So I've only been at Ealing and Hounslow CVS for a couple of months, and I started my journey as a volunteer on the Help Through Crisis team. So I was able to support what we call our crisis navigators and get a really good feel for what they do on the front line helping people. But I thought it would be really good for you to just hear what Mojda, who is one of our crisis navigators, how she does help people and deal with them on their various issues when they come in. So Mojda, I'll just turn that over to you if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. So hi everyone, my name is Mojda. As Julie mentioned, I'm one of the crisis navigators on the Help Through Crisis project. I've been working for West London Equality Centre as a crisis navigator for HCC for I think a little over a year now. But prior to lockdown, I was actually previously based in Southall and the Greenford food banks. And it was at these sites that I would actually meet clients and offer my support. I have a background in law, as do most of the crisis navigators on the project. Though this isn't actually necessary to the role, it does come in handy when supporting clients, as it means I can actually advise in a number of different ways or in a number of different areas. The sort of support and advice that I can provide generally does include benefits, housing and employment law. Though the organisation I work for, which is the West London Equality Centre, it goes a bit beyond that, in that it also provides advice on family law, hate crime and immigration. But the immigration advice that we do provide is somewhat limited. I'm also able to assist with applying for various grants, which isn't very much legal. I thought that I'd go through a few of the examples of the difficulties clients often experience, at least what I found they do experience. So normally it's that they've fallen into arrears with their rent as a result of the benefit cap and or their universal credit payment delays, which means some of them are even facing eviction from their homes. Another being that the low income earners have also had to turn to the food bank because of high rent arrears in Ealing, which often leaves them with only enough of their wages to actually pay their bills and leaves nothing for living expenses or food. Others have had to seek support as a result of issues with their welfare benefits, and some have actually been unable to claim benefits because of a lack of computer skills. And now with applying, of course, it's mostly done online. And with our vulnerable adults, that particularly vulnerable adults that suffer from physical or mental health conditions, they've also sort of not either been receiving essential disability benefits or have had their benefits stopped. So we try to help them as much as possible too. So as a crisis navigator, it's basically my job to meet with these individuals and offer face-to-face advice and support at the various food banks in Ealing. Yeah, so as most of the clients as well that visit the food bank are experiencing financial hardship, this can often accompany as well a decline in their mental health. So sometimes it might actually be the case that the client's pre-existing mental health condition has contributed to their financial difficulties, or that the problems with mental health develop as a result of financial difficulties. So if I'm faced For example, with a client that is in urgent need of mental health support or presenting with mental illness, first things first, I would probably check what support they are receiving for this. And if they aren't, I would check whether their GP has been made aware of their mental health struggles. And of course, just trying to show as much emotional support when it comes to these clients, as this normally means they are more inclined to open up to me and engage with what I say. So if the client isn't receiving any support for their mental health, we would be looking together at getting this for them. So whether that be getting in touch with the relevant healthcare professional or a referral to a mental health charity such as Mind, so one of those two. And making sure that the client does know that the support from me is there and I won't be giving up on them during the process. Yeah, so that's it from me.
That's great. Thanks, Mojda. Really good overview. I'm just going to chip in here to talk about the process before we open it up for questions, the process of clients accessing support, because before it used to be, before COVID, that once a client had a food bank voucher, I'm not sure, probably we've got people on this call who are able to issue vouchers, but if you're not an agency who gives out vouchers, then clients can request them. It's obviously all done online now, and after this meeting I will follow up with information and links to how you can put clients in touch with the food bank to get that food bank voucher. Because before it used to be, you'd get the food bank voucher, go into all the different food banks across Ealing. One would be open on a different day of the week, right across the borough. But of course, now with COVID and so many people more using the food bank, that it's primarily from the warehouse in Hanwell, although of course Southall, I believe, is open as well, the Southall Centre. But you can access support of a Help Through Crisis Navigator online. You can, there's all details of how a client can basically phone up and they can get food bank voucher if you're not able to issue one yourself. But they can talk to a crisis navigator. Of course, it's difficult because at the moment, because so much is to do with a relationship between the advisor and the client, and if they can't see them face to face, that relationship is harder to start and to develop. But they all are there, and I will send round information about Help Through Crisis Service to everyone. But has anyone got a question for Julie or Mojda? Please just jump in and ask a question, because it's a bit tricky to see any hands or anything. So let's all just jump in, and if anyone's got a question.
Anna from Pulse in Need. I have a question. I'm sure that Toby, you will be sending some notes after the meeting today, so we'll have something in writing which will be helpful. I wonder how we can share this and what will be helpful within the Polish community in Ealing, and how, you know, if there is anyone who speaks Polish within the project, because quite often there is a language barrier, and I'm sure I'm not talking only about the Polish community, but other communities. And so the hardest barrier for people to access services that are available is the language barrier, and those who struggle the most, it's quite, they have complex needs and it's like overlapping. So yeah, if you could tell me more about that, how we can make it easier for people to access the service. Thank you.
Well, I know we do have set up a translation service for any languages that we can't, excuse me, have people to translate. But I do know that West London Equality Centre has many volunteers who speak different languages. Mojda, do you just want to say about who speaks what languages and how you go about that? I think we've got a bit of feedback. Yeah,
Sorry, so a number of my colleagues actually speak several languages. We're quite a diverse team. For instance, I speak Farsi. I do have a colleague on our EUSS project that speaks Polish. We have advisors that speak Arabic. There's quite a lot. So we offer quite a few translation services.
So it's never a problem, and also we're very aware that a lot of people who speak Eastern Bloc languages are also very kind of fearful about going forward and talking to advisors, because they think perhaps they're, authorities, and there's going to be, issues regarding that. So we are very sensitive to that, and we do have a lot of information that's translated into very simple terms of who we are. I've seen information saying we are not the local council, we are not an authority, and we have that information in different languages just to make, and obviously it's very difficult now, because before, when people would come into a food bank, the process was so much more welcoming of people sat down and be given a cup of tea and biscuits and cake to make them feel comfortable and find out what languages they speak, and then it was all so much more comfortable for the client when it was face to face. And unfortunately now that as it's over the phone and things, now more than ever, for people who don't speak English very well and mental health needs as well, that's why it's really important that we do have information in community languages and people who speak other languages. It sounds like I'm still on the project, but I'm not, but I do know a lot about it, so that's why I'm able to answer. But we do have a lot of information and tools to make sure we make people feel comfortable and connect to them in community languages.
Toby, can I just follow up with just one more thing that might be helpful for other services? You mentioned the anxiety to connect with authorities, and what is happening now within our community, and probably, I don't know if it happens in other communities, probably you've heard about resistance towards vaccination and other stuff. What we see, for example, Facebook closed down completely, shut down to one of the largest Polish community group, Poles in London. There were like nearly 70,000 people in that group. So it was the largest Polish group on Facebook, and it was shut down in January. And recently the Polish women group was shut down with 5,000 Polish women, a quite large number in Ealing. They're based in Ealing, and the group was shut down just within like 2 weeks. The reason was that people were, putting stuff against vaccinations, again, something about the stuff. So I think, and people who promoting any support around even mental health or anything that might trigger people, to put stuff against, lockdown or vaccination or anything like that. There is a large number of abuse happening towards professionals, towards community groups, and I think it's important to be aware of that as well, because it's something new. I actually recently heard more and more stuff like that. So I think it would be quite helpful to be aware of additional new challenges. Yeah, thank you.
Whilst you were talking, I'm going to drop a link in the box about toolbox for the cash network, which and we've got information about the COVID vaccine and other things to do with conspiracy theories that's in community languages. So I've just dropped that in the chat now. So but yeah, it's so important to have information available in a range of community languages when it comes to sensitive things like vaccine and making people feel comfortable to tell an advisor quite sensitive information. Okay, well, we've got quite a lot of...
Sorry, Toby, could I just ask a question, please?
Yep. Go
Yeah,
for it.
it's just about, I know during the pandemic, the food bank has been doing home deliveries. How difficult is it to access that? You know, what do you require, you know, to get a home delivery of food?
I think I'd have to look it up. I think there's a telephone number that you can ring and book. But I mean, I think as things are more, as things are opening up further afield, I'm not sure how much they'll carry on doing that. But I think there was, I'd have to look it up and find it and pass that on so Toby could add it.
Yeah.
Because there was a
I just
number
wondered
that
if you need a medical report or anything like that, you know.
No, I think if the people were already getting the food bank voucher, then and they could just ring and change it. It was okay.
Okay. Thank
Sorry,
you.
regarding food banks, so basically in the beginning they were doing home deliveries, but now, because I'm one that does issue the vouchers for family, now what's happened is they're coming to an end at the end of January. There is a phone number that you do call, but unless if you've got medical needs, which they'll ask you over the phone, they're basically preferring you to go pick it up. So that they don't have to rely on too many drivers, I think, to be able to go and get it. That was the last update that I had from them, I think about a week or two ago. But I know there's a lot more going to be changing after the Easter holidays. So yeah, so they are still doing deliveries, but as I say, if it's medical or elderly, they would call them up on the phone number. The other side will ask them the questions, and then yeah, they take it from there. So I hope that sort of helps you as well.
Great, thanks for that update. Okay, thank you very much, Julie and Modster. So we're now, and like I said, we'll send more information around later about the food bank. So let's move now on to Daniel and the Mints team just for an update.
Hi, thanks, Toby. Yeah, I'm representing the Mint team today because there's no other people are on annual leave. So I'm just going to give a brief update of where we're at the moment. So we're starting with the Mint rollout this month. So there's going to be quite a few changes around the way that the teams will be operating. I'm not sure if everybody's aware of the changes that are happening in the service, but what's the way that we've been working up until now is that there's been a primary care mental health team that's worked across all the GP surgeries, delivering kind of lower intervention for people who don't have such a complex presentation. And then there's been two recovery teams, one that's based in Acton at Avenue House, and another recovery team that's based in Southall, which is where I am at the moment. And so what will happen in Mint is that there will no longer be what we refer to as secondary services, and actually we'll be working across both primary services and secondary services in 3 teams. So there will continue to remain a team in Southall, there will be a team in Acton, and there'll also be a team as well in the north of the borough, which will be eventually based at Grand Union Village. Although there still has to be some building work and bits and pieces done around that base. So we probably won't be moving in there until probably autumn, I would have thought. So I guess what that means in a practical sense for people, which I think is the most important thing, is that there will be a kind of a transition period. We're going to have some changes to email addresses. There will be some telephone number changes as well, and there will actually be 2 teams based at the Limes, which is in Southall. So the North team and the Southall team will both be based here together, but we'll be doing quite a lot of work remotely. So keep a lookout for communication that will come from the Trust about that, which will include the start date of when that changes. I expect that to come out in the next few weeks for everybody. And then there'll be also a period of transition whereby if people email other email addresses or old email addresses or call old phone numbers, they'll still be able to get hold of us as well. So up until you hear anything, nothing changes, you know, so we're continuing to work in the same way. We'll operate in the same way until you've heard something from us. And then there'll be a transitions phase. What else is there to add? Okay, so when this new phase of working starts, I think one of the key things is that we're wanting to engage more with our third sector partners. So if a patient, if you're kind of named in a patient's notes, either on the Rio system that we have, or on system 1, which is what the GPs access, and the patient is given consent for you to be involved in the care, then we'll be inviting you to MDT meetings to discuss the patient as well. So you'll be involved, and we'll send out appointment times for when those meetings happen. And for each primary care network, so each group of surgeries, there'll be an MDT meeting every week as well. And there'll also be points of contact in the service as well for people. So we'll also be sending that out as well, so that you'll know, for example, who the lead nurse is for each primary care network, and which nurse covers each surgery. And so it'll be easier for you to make contact with people in the service as well, to discuss cases, as well as also calling the main number. So what we're trying to do is branch out and make ourselves much more accessible than we have been in the past. I think those are the main points for the time being, but it's really be kind of, we'll explain basically everything in the communications that come out. But I'm happy to take any questions.
Could I ask a question, please?
Yes.
Yeah. What's happening to the teams that are based at Charrington House in Hanwell? There's the early intervention.
Nothing changes, but they're not involved in this because they're any kind of specialist service, so forensic, perinatal, early intervention in psychosis, eating disorder service. All of those services will remain the same in terms of their specialist provision.
Okay, thank you.
And a crisis team as well.
Okay, Peru, do you want to go next? Ask your question.
Hi. Dan, I want to ask you something. You know, I work as a disability employment advisor in Ealing Job Center.
Yeah.
Now, we work very closely with the social prescribers in our area, you know,
Yes.
with a lot of, and we work together 3 ways, you know, when we get customers' consent, either they get it or we get it, we work together for them.
Yeah.
Now, there are some of the surgeries, there are no link workers. For example, Lady Margaret Road, Southall, there is no link worker. There are some of these surgeries. Do you have any support available for those surgeries where they don't have link workers?
Yeah, if somebody's got a mental health problem, that we can support them with, then yeah, there will be a link worker assigned in each of the teams as well, who will be able to.
No, there are some of them places then they don't have link workers at the moment.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about, because we're talking about 2 different things. You're talking about the social prescribers that are based in the GP surgeries.
Yeah,
But we'll also have as an equivalent service, which will be able to deliver some work as well for patients. So if there's something that's not available for those patients in those surgeries and they can't access a social prescriber, then there will be something available in our service where we'll be able to deliver a similar kind of intervention, which is in terms of signposting and helping people access resources in the community.
So whom shall we contact for that one?
Well, what I said, just wait for the communications. Because
okay, perfect. Okay, so it's not now, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
If you have somebody that fits the bill for that, then you can just, then what we'll ask people to do is just call the main number, and then you can speak to somebody about that, or the person can go through their GP as well and be referred either way.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Steve, you've got a question.
Thanks. First of all, I apologize. I may have missed some of what you saw because I was having a sound problem when I came into the room.
No problem.
Steve Kyle, I'm the Recovery Support Services Manager at Each. I was pleased to hear what you were saying at many levels, not least because I've been trying to arrange a meeting with clients with your service, and I think you may even have been copied into the correspondence on that one. But secondly, when I was contacting the team in the last couple of weeks, I was told that there's actually currently some form of telephone system problem. Is that the case, to your knowledge?
There was a phone system problem at some point. We escalated it and it's been resolved now, but there was an issue around the telephones, and this is something that I think that we also are looking to resolve as well, because I think what we're trying to do is make the service as accessible as possible. So we're needing to have a think about our telephone systems, because at the moment people can get an engaged tone, for example, you know, which is not really very helpful. So it'd be much more helpful to have, you know, kind of like a call waiting service.
Yes.
So this is something that we're looking at the moment. This is something that SPA have in place.
Right.
But we're trying to get that replicated into these.
Okay, because it has, for those of us who worked in the borough for a while, and I've been working with your team since 2013 off now. It seems it's a lot more difficult to speak to anyone to lines than it is at Avenue House, for example. And this has been an issue for many years. And I have had professional colleagues telling me that they've been unable to get through, trying a number of times in one day. And one just wonders how that's affecting the service users who, if we are getting frustrated and we can't handle it, then what are vulnerable people doing? So it would be, the resolution of that would be greatly appreciated. I mean, I may have even lost my temper slightly when I was told this was happening, because my response was, well, it appears to have been a problem for the last 7 years, not something that just cropped up recently. So that's welcome. And I think again,
it's a massive issue.
Making it easier for us to meet with you regarding service users would be very welcome, because again, that has proved somewhat tricky to do.
Yeah, we're really aware of that, and that's why we want to adjust things. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks very much, Daniel, for that update. We're going to have to move on because we've got such a packed agenda, but it was really useful providing that information. So thank you very much for that. So the next subject we're going to talk about is social prescribing and connecting databases. Now, this has really been something that I've been pushing along for quite a while, because I've just wanted so much to connect up information. There's been so many different databases, and it's quite tricky. I mean, I know that there was launched a couple of years ago, CarePlace. I don't think it was launched to all voluntary organisations, and I'm not really sure what happened to that. It didn't have a very high profile, but that's by the by now. I think it's kind of in the background, but I've just wanted to move forward with connecting databases of information, particularly for social prescribers, because this conversation started between Justina and I must be over a year ago, about connecting information, because I know it's kind of idealistic to have one central database, but you've got to have something to strive for. And there's been so many changes over the past year, and groups and services, voluntary services, statutory services come and go. And so I just see this as an opportunity to all share the same information. So when we signpost clients, or when someone goes to the doctors, they see a social prescriber, they can look at a database of services, because Justina was saying she had hers, and then GPs had a different one. Anyway, won't go into all that, but now is an opportunity for social prescribers to use Simply Connect, which is a new system. And I've seen that, it's been around for a while, but new opportunity for them, and the GLA is supporting this initiative. So I thought now would be a great opportunity to get people together, so we can just connect and start pulling together resources, because a few months ago, Jenny and Molly at West London Trust produced this great database that I shared with everyone about services. I thought it was a fantastic piece of work, and I've invited them here today, and they are here. And now we've got some social prescribers and also Surinder from Simply Correct Connect is here. So I'm thinking, okay, now is the time to really make sure that we merge all this information. And also on Simply Connect, any voluntary organisation can update their details on that platform as well. So now we're just at that point that I just really want to make it happen. And so we just need to have that conversation and see what is stopping us at this last point to merge that information. So, you know, straight for the first question, it will be about someone's going to say, you know, well, can we do this? What are the issues? And so, first of all, I thought if Jenny and Molly could just talk about how they collected this information, then we can talk to Surinder and then get some input and insight from the social prescribers. I hope that sounds okay. So Jenny and Molly, do you want to say hi and just tell us about collecting that information?
Hi everyone. I'd just like to apologise if you can hear any drilling going on. Hopefully it's not too disruptive. So first of all, I'll just quickly explain how the document came to be. Yeah. So me and Jenny also work within Mint, but slightly different to what Dan is doing. So we've realised that with people waiting to receive help from the NHS, it could be a very, very long wait. And not everybody wants psychological intervention either. And we realised how many amazing community services that are out there that could help. So we're trying to bridge that gap between the NHS and community services. And that's when the database came in, collecting all this different information about where it's located, who they help, what the waiting times are, all of that. To then, if somebody's waiting for a long time, we can direct them to services that can help. And if they don't want psychological intervention, or after they've been discharged from the hospital, all that kind of stuff. So the database itself isn't the final step. We want to sort of convert it into something more accessible, which Jenny can explain a bit better. But that's sort of what it is. I sent the document just so you could see where we're at, but eventually it will be changing into something else, which I'll let Jenny explain.
Thank you, Molly. So we're pushing for more of a website format for people to be able to access it, because with services constantly changing and new services coming into fruition and old services sadly ending, it's really difficult to update a paper leaflet, which was originally suggested. So we think it would be a lot better as a website that people can update, or some sort of online database. But we do welcome any ideas or suggestions, and if people know of any services that they would like to be added to our database that may have fallen for our radar, please send us an email. We can put our emails in the chat and we can add those to the database.
Okay, that's great. I'm just going to share my screen and show the Simply Connect platform, because I'm thinking that if we move your information into that, and then Damien from MindMapper has messaged me saying that it could help with perhaps merging that information. But I'll show you the Simply Connect. Yeah, I'll show that. And so this is the GLA initiative. Surinder, are you on this call? You're able to tell everyone a little bit about this?
Sorry, I was just unmuting myself. Yes, hello. Hi, Toby. Hi, everyone. Surinder from Simply Connect. Yeah. Do you want me to talk a little bit about this?
Please, I'll just drive around and show things, and then you can just tell me.
Okay. Yeah, so our background is in the charity sector from the voluntary and community sector, and we work with voluntary and community organisations across the country to help engage them in social prescribing. We were commissioned by Greater London Authority to create a portal to support social prescribing across Greater London, which was a website and resources primarily aimed at the voluntary sector, how to promote your services to commissioners, how to get more referrals from link workers. And as someone rightly said on the call today, there's just not enough link workers to go around. And we know there's 6-week, 8-week waiting lists to see link workers. There are a lot of great community services out there that if you refer people into, that can support individuals and get them the help they need. So as part of the London platform, I think if you go, I'm going to say, if you go to the Croydon one, Toby, I think that one's really well populated. Okay. So as part of this, we offered Greater London free use of the Simply Connect London platform. So this is a borough level platform. If you click on the Simply Connect London icon on the top left and just go back to the home screen, do you see? Yeah. Sorry, that's my fault. Could you just type in croydon.simplyconnect.uk into the browser bar? Brilliant, thank you. So we've offered this free to voluntary sector organisations and infrastructure organisations across Greater London to help promote services to commissioners. So it's split in like social groups and activities. It's around healthy living, behaviour change, lifestyle, or it's practical advice and support like debt, housing, food banks, stuff like that. So if you just click on maybe the advice and support one, Toby, at the end. So you can see these alcohol substance misuse services. So these are all categorised into key areas of need. Voluntary organisations can register for free and it promotes their services to link workers. So we know a lot of link workers across Greater London are now sort of using this to find local services. So in each borough, we've been working with local infrastructure organisations to see if they want to use it as a tool, to bring their sort of data sets together. And it's great that Jenny and Molly were saying that they've been bringing together information on services that are available across Ealing. This is available to the members of the public. They can go in and refer themselves and find services. But also, obviously, link workers are using this to support their work and anybody working within the voluntary and community sector can use it as well. Behind it, there is also, it can also be extended to be like a referral route as well. So, you can refer people and individuals directly into these community services. So if you're working with clients that have got mental health issues or other needs and you want to refer them directly into these services, you can have sort of free logins to use that as a referral tool as well if you're a voluntary sector organisation. So it's just a tool for each borough to bring voluntary and community services together. We're offering it free to use across London currently.
So how do we go about getting all this information here? This is Molly and Jenny's list, here's their master list. How do we go about getting it into yours? What are the technicalities? Does it accept kind of Excel databases, or does it all have to be inputted again? Or
we could potentially look at migrating the data in. So the spreadsheet you just had on screen, in terms of you've got organisation details. So in the database, it'll be in organisation details. And then we also have activity level data. So there's a lunch club 12R2 on a Tuesday afternoon. But if you've just got what data have you got? Have you got activity level, like service level data, or is it just organisation level that you've got at the moment?
Yeah, sorry, it's just sort of organisational level at the moment.
Okay.
So this spreadsheet is just for sort of view only. We're actually university students. So to combine information, I'm sure it wouldn't be a problem, but I will get you in touch with, I put my email in the chat box, so I can get you in touch with my supervisor to see, because it looks like an amazing website, so she'll definitely want to see how we can work together. But I'll definitely have to get her involved, because if I don't, might become a problem.
Okay. I'll connect you two anyway after this, and that'd be great. So I'm just thinking though, in the meantime, if that details in that spreadsheet are getting merged over into Simply Connect. Maybe Jenny and Molly, for the meantime, people shouldn't be sending you any more information, because it's better that it actually goes into Simply Connect, and then people can be given perhaps logins to add more information.
Yeah, service providers themselves, this is about to be launched, I think, in the next week or so. So we'll be sending it out to all, infrastructure customers, so you can get the message out. Service providers will be able to register directly on here as well. So as well as migrating the data in that you've already got, you can promote it directly to the groups to register and create and manage their own sort of listings on there as well.
So Ealing and Hounslow CVS can send it out to all their members saying, create an account, update your details, and it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's good news.
Yeah.
Are there any social prescribers on this call who've got any questions about Simply Connect? Because now would be a good time to start thinking about it, and also the database that we're going to merge over. We've got any social prescribers on the call?
Hi, yeah, it's me, Dahlia. I work for Catalyst Housing. Hi. I was just wondering, could a housing association be put on the Simply Connect website? Because we offer a lot of resources. I think I was supposed to give an update, but I probably do that in a few minutes. But could we put, a housing association?
Yes, most definitely. There's a lot of, I think, housing associations and advice services that you provide. It'd be great to have all those listed on there. And so you add it organisation level, and then the different services you've got on the opening times. That would be brilliant. Yeah.
So would I contact Toby, or like how would?
I'll connect you all together, all the social prescribers.
Okay.
So, and do you want me to connect you, Surinder, or is it to Sarah?
Yeah, I was just putting my email in the chat. Yeah, if anyone wants more information about, when they can register directly and when that's coming out, that, they're happy to contact us directly, and we can,
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay, we've got some hands raised. First of all, Dan?
I think Steve was first, actually.
Oh, okay. You're going to be gentlemanly and let Steve go first.
Actually, Steve got to take his hand down, so apologies.
No worries.
All yours for that.
So I was just, Surinder, this looks brilliant. Really, really kind of good piece of work here, and it's probably something that we've needed for quite some time. Just in what I'm interested in, it's a bit boring really, but just the funding and who commissioned this.
Okay, so when we were commissioned by GLA, we were just commissioned to provide a social prescribing portal. So we did lots of consultation with the sector about what they needed. GLA was telling us to do toolkits and resources to support the sector to deliver on social prescribing. We got awarded the contract the days before the first lockdown. So you can imagine when we went out to talk to the sector and said, oh, so do you need some toolkits to help you deliver social prescribing? They were just like, go away. Anyway, so in the end, we did quite a lot of consultation, and what they were saying to us is they wanted a way to promote this. Obviously, funding was the #1 priority. How do we get more funding into our services? So, the resources about tracking and evaluating those referrals and where they're coming from. So there's a lot of information advice around that. And the other one was promoting the services. There was a lot of supported volunteering projects, a lot of community projects doing a lot of social support during COVID, but link workers didn't know about them. They didn't know how to tap into them. They didn't know the pathways. Through your local infrastructure is obviously a really good pathway. So we do promote local infrastructure quite heavily on there. We created the portal to really promote what the sector can do and how they can support social prescribing. That not every social prescribing referral comes via a link worker because there aren't enough to go around. And like someone mentioned earlier, if someone wants a direct referral, then how can we make that happen? So they commissioned the website, which we did. The Simply Connect London portal wasn't commissioned, but we're already working with a lot of infrastructure across 18 London boroughs. So we offered GLA, we said we can link to that portal that will fulfill a lot of the needs that we're picking up in the consultation, how to connect with volunteer centres, how to connect with the anchor organisations and the community projects. So we offered free use of that. So it's fully populated in Croydon, in Bromley, in Enfield. We've got like local infrastructure partners that in Greenwich are working on it as well, that are helping to support that model. So it's really Simply Connect working in partnership with the voluntary and community sector to deliver that. So the London-wide platform of community services is not the bit that was commissioned by GLA. That's the bit that Simply Connect are providing to support the portal.
Lovely, thank you. Forgive my ignorance, but what's GLA?
Sorry, Greater London Authority. So the Mayor of London wants everyone to have access to a social prescription by 2028. And this is a big step towards helping to achieve that, because, as we said, there's not enough link workers, and it's about making the community support accessible and easy to find. So that's what we're trying to do with this portal, really.
Brilliant, thank you.
Okay.
And Damien said from MyMapper, is there a specific age demographic that the platform is tailored to? I don't think so, but do you want to?
We've got age ranges, so we've got, you know, services that might be specifically aimed at over 65, and I think there is a young person section as well, but it is all ages, so there are filters to search for men only, women only, and age specific activities as well.
Well, that sounds great. Sounds really exciting. So I'm really pleased things are starting to move together. It's going to make life easier for everyone, and most importantly, make things clearer for people who need support, and put things in place so social prescribers can signpost. And I think it's going to be great.
Just to add a final thing, Toby, if you don't mind, in terms of any link workers in the borough, that one, obviously, you know, they may have their own sort of case management systems that they're using to manage, you know, the local project, but they can have, we're offering sort of a free referral user accounts to link workers across the borough. So if they need to, you know, refer clients directly into local services that have been checked and verified. So there is a process in place when you sign up and register that we do verify that you're a local charity, a local community organisation, that you have certain policies and procedures in place before you can be on the platform, so that it is like a check-in process in place. But yeah, we can, you know, link workers can refer directly through it as well.
That's really good. Thanks for adding that.
Can I just quickly, just quickly jump in with a question? So I couldn't find the raise hand bit, but sorry.
Calvin, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
I'll come after you.
All right, yes. So I was just wondering about the referral thing, obviously, which is a great part of it. So when it comes to sort of mental health organisations in particular, so some will be more relevant to, you know, a particular client than another. So I'm just wondering how specific the categories can be, because I guess, like, you know, you don't want to be kind of referring people to a service which is not quite appropriate, and so how targeted it can be with their referral process.
Yeah, we have sort of standardised on the categories. You know, there was a lot of sort of R&D that went into that, so that's been over a few years. So within, you know, the mental health, there will be different mental health services within there, and it'll say who they're suitable for, the client group it's suitable for, and the criteria to access that service we ask for as well when people are filling that in. In terms of the referral process, it's just a very basic, simple referral form. So we're just taking through the client details, and then the only other information what the referrer needs to send is just the reason for the referral, and notes that they're happy to share with that service provider. So the client consent and everything is built in. So everyone who wants to send referrals through the system would need sort of a, you know, training session and a user sort of account and terms and conditions of using the site and that kind of thing. But it's a very basic. So I realise, obviously, to get referrals into voluntary and community services, a lot of those have worked in the sector for 20, 30 years. You have your own sort of standardised referral forms that ask for different information depending on the service. And there's no way we'd be able to accommodate all of that in the system. So the referral is kept very simple, very, very short and simple. And then the voluntary organisation would then pick that up through a secure portal. You can pick up that referral. So when you register to be on the site, you can indicate whether you want to take referrals from link workers or you just want a listing on there just to promote your services. If you sign up to the referral platform, then you get the referrals through a secure portal where you log in and pick those up and then report that you've just collected them. And then everything you do then is outside the system and within your own sort of internal systems.
Sure. So you could differentiate between sort of general mental health needs as opposed to complex mental health needs, for instance.
Yeah.
Grand.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks.
Okay.
So there's another question in the chat about Latvia with her. She says she's. How would you manage a client's expectations in terms of when do they expect to hear back?
Okay, that's a really good question, and that's something we built in. So if you're a service provider and you want to accept external referrals, you have to sign up to what's called a service level agreement, and that says you will respond to any incoming referrals within 10, I think it's set at 10 days at the moment because of COVID, we did extend that. So if you are accepting referrals, you've got, and that is sort of tracked and monitored, and you'll be sent sort of alerts and emails if you've not responded. So there is a built-in sort of quality assurance and service level agreement for those organisations that want to receive referrals through the system. And that's sort of explained when you sign up to register, it talks about the different options. If you just want to sign up to promote your services, or if you want to sign up to receive referrals, you've got to meet certain terms and conditions of that service.
So I've got a question here, very good question from Meg about data protection. What information is submitted on the site and how are referrals handled?
So the only, when a link worker has a login to the site and they get a license and a login and a user account, they are sending just very basic information, contact details, reason for referral and notes, and getting client consent. The client consents to share that information with that voluntary sector service provider that's been verified and checked on the system and signed up to the SLA. So there are processes in place for protecting data, for getting consent, and for ensuring that the client is happy for that referral to be made. The link worker would have their own dashboard, which is personal to them, of their own clients. None of that information is shared. The only information that's shared is on the referral form.
Okay, brilliant.
I'm happy to do more detailed demo. I mean, if there
Yeah, I was thinking, Surinder,
I can show that referral process at a different session, if you like.
what about if you come to our next meeting, which is going to be on the 23rd of April, and we can give you a longer slot and more questions and answers?
Yeah, that'd be absolutely fine, yeah.
Brilliant. Now I've got one last question here, and then we're going to have to move on, from Sharmaki. Do you want to ask your question?
Hi, I've got a question and a comment. I think it's a fantastic initiative.
Thank you.
Just from experience over the years, we've had similar kind of interactive databases and things like that. But then we know once funding is finished, then things close down. So within the organization and with the funder, is there a way to ensure that the legacy of this continues, because it's a very crucial service? And then my other kind of comment is, I think somebody put in about expectation and things like that. So for example, our organization, we also have like link worker kind of support for our users. And the only problem is that our services are always oversubscribed.
Yeah.
So, any project we do is always oversubscribed. Of course, we like to access, the different services for our users at the same time. We're not a specialist mental health service, but we kind of fill gaps that are not being addressed at the moment, especially for certain communities. So again, it's about how do we kind of advertise at the same time, the expectations and things like that. So there's a lot of kind of aspects.
No, you raised some really good points. So the service providers, you would yourself will be in charge of your own listing. So we are just building in actually a waiting list capability. But if you're at capacity, you can log in and put a notice and say like when, how long the waiting list is and when you'll next be taking referrals. So you can manage that and put that on there. In relation to the question about funding, that's a key thing. We're, as part of Simply Connect, we're really keen to get funding back into the sector, and that's why we offer a lot of this stuff free to the voluntary sector. If you're taking referrals through that platform, in terms of how we sold it to the sector in other areas and in Croydon and things like that, is you're building up data and analytics of referrals into your services and where they're coming from the NHS, from local authority, from other community organisations, and that gives you really sort of valuable data and evidence to show the need for your service and add strength to those funding bids. So that's one of the sort of benefits for signing up for the referral process. And the other thing you said about what happens when this dies, I mean, this is part of a national initiative, so we're not just doing this in Greater London, we're doing this all over the country. And what has tended to happen, so we had a similar service within Kent and Medway, and it was run by, Simply Connect working with voluntary sector organisations is how we've got it off the ground. And what happened there is commissioners from the NHS saw the platform, saw what it could do, saw how great it was, and they now want to invest and run that as like an NHS service. So we're just working with the voluntary sector, saying getting a really good service up and running, and it's sort of, because a lot of these initiatives, if you go the other way around, where you sit around loads of tables, do lots of planning, design how it needs to be, and things take forever and never happen. So we found it works better if people can see it, see the usefulness of it, then we're more likely to get sort of investment from commissioners. But we're committed to this on an ongoing basis because it's part of a national initiative and it's a core mission of our work really at Simply Connect. If for any reason we did go under and we weren't around anymore, then part of that exit strategy would be to a health and social care organisation or that's invested in supporting maybe NCVO or invested in supporting the sector like we are at Simply Connect as well.
Okay, that's lovely. Now, very, very quick question, Chris. I see you've got your hand up, and then we're going to have to move on.
Yeah, some of these services obviously are going to be working remotely. Is there going to be anything put on the website to say when they're going to actually open sort of face to face?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, that was some feedback we got. So you can actually search for services that are running remotely at the moment. So if your service is only running over Zoom, you can indicate that. If it's in person, you can indicate that. And then, yeah, you can also say it's closed at the moment, but we'll be actively, taking referrals. So still go on the platform, but just put in the description that you're, closed for business, will be reopening at whatever time.
Okay, thanks very much.
That's great. Thank you, Surinder. That was really interesting. And yeah, it'd be great if you'd come back to our next meeting in April. That'd be lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to Meg at Each for an update.
Thank you, Toby. I'm just actually going to invite Steve to just basically do an update about the rest of the services at Each Counselling Support, and then when it's ready, I'll talk about STEPS project, the project funded by the London Borough of Ealing. So Steve, over to you.
Thank you so much. My apologies for not being Meg. Those who are familiar with Each will know that we have a number of different services operating within Ealing Borough, but just for the sake of those who may not have come across this before, I'll give a quick tour through what we do. Within Ealing, we have our STEP service, which is our information and education service, by which I mean it is a service designed to message about mental health and access to services to the general public across the borough, to get that information to people who may not know how to access services or where to look for information about mental health issues. In addition to that, our IPS Employment Access and Training Initiative, which we work with in conjunction with Twining, operates also in Ealing. That's open to, in Each, we work with BME clients, 19 plus, who have common mental health problems. That service is always open for referral. We deliver both generic floating support and hospital discharge. By that I mean psychiatric hospital discharge, floating support in the borough, and that's housing related support. The mental health agencies referring to the hospital discharge services is part of the service, and other referrals for floating support have to go through the specialist support team based at the London Borough of Ealing. So if you're in need, if you have clients in need of housing related support, you should be talking to the specialist support team in the first instance from that point of view. We have counselling in the form of social enterprise called Life Therapies, but also we have domestic violence counselling in the borough. We also have a service which is aimed at women with complex needs called the Jasmine Project, which works with women who've got a combination of issues, substance misuse, mental health, domestic violence. That service delivers both group and one-to-one work in the borough. At the moment, the groups are being delivered remotely. Just an answer to Chris's question. We're currently providing groups on alcohol recovery, domestic violence, psychoeducation therapeutic groups, particularly domestic violence, how it relates to substance misuse. We've also got a Polish women's group operating within that service. We have our community engagement project, which initially was focusing on the accessing or encouraging test and trace access to the more hard to reach parts of the community and the more isolated parts of the community. And that has obviously expanded its brief with the development within COVID issues and is also supporting engagement in vaccination. In terms of what we're experiencing and currently as a project, as a service, and I would expect other people in the room to be in the same position, what we're finding is we're, and all of our services at the moment are open for referrals to be made to them, although we're doing a mixture of face-to-face delivery and remote delivery. What we're finding at present is increased complexity amongst those who are being referred to our services, multiple needs. In terms of where we currently are in the COVID pandemic, certainly there are two things coming out, two particular anxieties showing amongst our service users. Number one is the whole general process of coming out of lockdown. We have a lot of service users who are going to be very tentative about returning, shall we say, to something approaching normal life and going out of the home again. And this, of course, is an important point because many of the additional services, we're thinking particularly around food delivery, food provision, are in the process of winding down. So we're potentially going to have a large number of people across the board in Ealing who are faced with, shall we say, a large anxiety about having to open up their lifestyle again when they may not necessarily be feeling ready or safe to do so. So that's something which we're very conscious of, to the extent that we're going to be doing some internal training for our staff to ensure that we have a, shall we say, a coordinated approach to how we deal with those particular anxieties. I think that's certainly is the case. In terms of our community engagement service, we are particularly interested in, shall we say, widening our scope in terms of agencies who we're engaging with, and particularly accessing the South Asian community in the borough, which is obviously remains a substantial community within the borough. So we're very much open to people continuing to talk to us about that service. In terms of STEPS, which is our outward-facing information delivering service, again, I'm anticipating, and Meg can clarify, but I'm anticipating that one of the things we'll be doing as part of that service will be addressing, supporting people around that stepping down from lockdown process, and trying to address those anxieties. What we've also will be looking at very closely, and again, any information from anyone in the room, is how we roll our services back into face-to-face mode within the community. A large part of the steps set up initially had been that we were delivering information in the form of face-to-face signposting sessions and information in written form in public venues, civic centre, gyms, libraries. So when and how they open is of great interest to us. We know there are tentative dates for public buildings opening, but we're not necessarily assuming that those tentative dates will be a complete return to normal. So again, I suspect what we'll be doing is a blended service, at least for some time to come, in terms of the information banks, the going out and giving information. At the end of last year, we experimented with pop-up information bank in the middle of Ealing Broadway Centre. The intention was to return to that model of working, and we will be there for looking as soon as we can get out safely to be doing that again, so that those people who are digitally excluded, those people who don't want to go online or join a webinar or look at a website, will have access to information in public space. Meg, do you want to add anything to what I've said there?
Yeah, just got two quick questions. Number one is, I don't know if everyone knows that next month is the beginning of Stress Awareness Month. And part of our output is all about creating virtual events and in-person events when they are, deemed accessible again, about raising awareness about these key things that affect people in our community. Stress has been one of the biggest things from the reports that we've seen because of financial uncertainty. There are stresses around, kids going back to school, stresses most recently about vaccines. And we really wanted to basically have a collaborative approach with Ealing and all the services in here about how we can provide some access to information, tips, services, support, and education around stress. So I just wanted to kind of ask, as we're finalizing our calendar for outputs, has anyone had any thoughts or knew about this or has planned anything? Because we'd love to be able to signpost. If you haven't, we are in the process of just finalizing that. And if you would love to collaborate or signpost and invite your volunteers, service users and colleagues, that would be amazing. And then number two is, part of our project is about raising awareness and challenging stigma. And the way we do this is through a human library, and it pretty much says it in its name. It's basically people libraries, right? And what it is about highlighting stories. Many people and many of us on this call will know that one of the best things about recovering from mental health is being able to share your story. Lots of people still have huge stigmas towards mental health, and us being able to show, one, the fact that mental health has no face, there's a diversity and it affects us all, but also to be able to show the success of services. A lot of people from BAME backgrounds are very wary about how services do not reflect them. So we are really conscious about, actually sharing the success of how services can change and impact your life for the better. And to do this, I'd love to just basically welcome you all to send any kind of service users. It could be even yourself or patients that you've had or people that you're working with that have some stories. They've probably been discharged recently, or you feel like they've had, a significant growth, to basically send over to us. I'd love to basically be able to recruit them as human libraries and put together a collection of stories via short clips. They can be completely anonymized. They can be very coolly, with technology now, overlaid with cartoons, so in terms to data protection and protecting people's identity. But it's definitely something, as we're moving into the next phase of coronavirus, to kind of get people actually understanding that, services are there, their doors are open, and they can help you in this way. So yeah, that's the main thing: human libraries and Stress Awareness Month. I'll put my email down below, and thank you so much, Toby. Is email down below. Please do message me. It would be great to connect and collaborate, because I think this is a really significant month. So yeah, Toby, that's perfect.
Lovely. Okay, we're running a little bit behind, and we've got some other speakers lined up. Damien, can I give you just 5 minutes, because we are running a little bit behind? If you could just do a quick update. I'm sorry I'm squeezing your slot, but just trying to keep it all on track.
Sure thing, Toby. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for inviting me to the session anyway. I will try and make it as quick as I can. In 5 minutes, I'll basically walk you through what MyMapper is, sort of where we came from, what we're up to, and what next steps are, and how to get involved. So I'm Damien. I'm the Chief Product Officer here at MyMapper. I very much got a background in youth work, and most of my team are youth workers themselves, or they work with young people in universities, schools, local communities. And so what we started off was we ended up doing talks and workshops within universities, local governments, doing talks and workshops internationally in some of the biggest organizations in the world around mental resilience, mental health and well-being, building mindsets. And we've delivered workshops for just over 40,000 young people. But then once lockdown started, obviously things had to completely change. We had to digitize most of our services into a virtual capacity. So MyMapper was born, and MyMapper is a virtual mental health gym for young adults. Specifically, the age demographic that we sort of work with is 18 to 30. And since last session that I was here back in November, we basically just got better and better at engaging young people and providing that support to them. We very much focus on early intervention. What that means is supporting young people around mental health education and really building those relationships between young people, services within a local area. So building kind of community outreach within local communities, within universities, within local councils, for young people to tap into some of those services, as well as having the support of MyMapper as a community. Some of the things that we've basically upgraded since the last time we've been here, or I've been here back in November, was the resource matching element, which is the thing that I sort of mentioned that we could support with Paul Surinder, who I think is still here, with the Simply Connect platform. So part of the thing that we do with our resource matching is where we support young people to find mental health support in a very, very quick and easy maneuver. We basically built an algorithm that allows young people to file out a very quick survey. And then we have just over 300 resources around mental health, well-being, financial uncertainty, navigating employment, and healthy relationships that we can send over to young people. And every week they get a personalized email from us with a resource to support them. We're just expanding that to local services as well, so making it easier for young people to be able to tap into local services, with just being able to apply and refer themselves to a local service like Mind or like a CAMS or like an Open Doors a lot easier than the kind of current format that's happening. The other thing of MyMapper is the virtual mental health gym element. You could think of this as a gym for your mind, right? A gym for your mental health, where we run weekly classes, community, and we're just building out a partnership with I can't mention who yet, but where we're going to be tapping into professionals, counselors, therapists, life coaches into MyMapper, so young people have that sort of support, 24/7 from the community. Some of the classes that we have in the gym at the moment, journaling sessions happening every Monday and Friday between 9 and 9:30, daily walking sessions that happen. So some of the partnerships that we've already kind of established allow us to work with young people from all around the UK. We've just built out the platform since being here in November. We've built out the platform now to be able to have just around 10,000 young people at once. But we're constantly kind of building our services out as much as possible. Very much the key here is the kind of signposting element of young people, and then the mental health education side, where we're supporting young people to better manage their mental health, within their homes, within their schools, within the universities, within the workplace. And we've also just upgraded our safeguarding element within MyMapper. So we've onboarded moderators where anyone within the community that is struggling within, and we can see it within the virtual platform, we're able to directly signpost them if they're in an urgent crisis, directly signpost them to call lines, text lines, and services that they could go to get that urgent support, or if they're sort of feeling a bit lower down for a number of weeks, and we're able to measure that progress of their mental health journey through something we call mental health scores. that were also able to intervene there. What we're looking for.
Damien, I'm thinking, do you want to come back to the next meeting? And yeah, someone's just, and if I put your email for the time being, but if you want to come back next month and just walk us through the website and kind of demonstrate a bit more, because I don't feel like I'm doing you justice giving you a very short slot here. So do you want to come back next month and talk a bit more?
Sure thing, sure thing.
Shall I just drop your email in the chat for the meantime?
Yeah, absolutely. And I could drop you the link to the website as well.
Yeah, and if you do a link to the website, that would be great. Awesome. Is that okay? Because you've obviously got so much, and I want to give you more time. You deserve the time.
Yeah, absolutely. It was tough to do that in 5 minutes.
Okay.
Thanks, Toby.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we have from A Mile in Her Shoes, we've got Celia, Helen and Danica. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. A brand new charity that I thought would be really relevant to helping mental health through exercise, through running. So over to you guys.
Hi, I don't think Celia's actually here. I don't know why she isn't on here. A Mile in Her Shoes is actually sort of been running for at least 5 or 6 years, but we've just moved in to supporting social prescribers. So I think Adina is on here, and I haven't met Adina, but she runs through Celia. And we are giving people via the GP and Adina, we're passed on the contact details of some people. Some have sort of mild depression. I'm dealing with one girl who has actually just gone into a crisis home as well. And all we do is we offer exercise and we offer our ears and talking. And that exercise, in theory, builds up to doing something like parkrun, but obviously that's been off the cards until this June. And we're a group, certainly in Ealing, there's about 5 volunteers. Most of us belong to Ealing Eagles Running Club, but for example, I don't run particularly with many of them. It is just providing exercise, and we take out 1-to-1, sometimes 1-to-2, and we talk and encourage them. We also provide at the moment online yoga sessions run by a yoga specialist and online strength and conditioning. In the past, prior to COVID, we actually rented a hall. We get through our financing, we rented a hall and provided exercise really to anyone that is sent to us as much as possible anyway.
That's really good.
I think what's worth adding, I listened to a very interesting, or Zoom of course, webinar from Coach England earlier on this week, and they were talking about reciprocal learning, and I thought, oh my goodness, big words. And actually what it was, I sort of thought about A Mile in Her Shoes and thought, well, actually we're doing that because the idea was it's not us doing to people or even advising people necessarily, but actually listening to people and responding to what they want. So for instance, the Keep Fit and the yoga came about because quite a few of our client group were interested not necessarily in running, although fresh air and particularly when there was slightly bigger numbers, the sense of community, the sense of chatting to others, not just chatting to us, but they wanted a wider range, didn't they, Helen, of activities. And so that was actually in response to what some of our women had said. And I think it's also sort of details like, I'd never heard of it, to my ignorance showing here, that one of the women I run with has got, I don't know how you pronounce it, Tabata program on her phone, which is one of the run walk techniques, and said, oh, she'd really like to do this as a way of effectively going from couch to 5K eventually. And that's actually sort of involved some of the other ladies as well in, oh yes, this is quite a good technique. We may not be able to run or even jog run for some time, but we can do a sort of run walk method and talk to each other while we're doing it. And because of our support status, it's something where we have been able to carry on with that in life, or at least I have with my couple of women. I think some of the refuges haven't been as keen to allow women to go out or something. You'll know more about that, Helen, but I've certainly, one lady I exercise with every Saturday has not missed a session since she started. And she was one of the GP referrals that Helen referred to.
I didn't say at the beginning, we originally started, My Own Shoes charity started by running with women from refuges, and it was essentially women, running with women from refuges and basically from homeless. But in the last year, we have moved much more into women who've been, in a way, prescribed through the GP service to us.
Have you been working much with Let's Go Southall? I've got some contacts there, but I just put it in the chat because it's an initiative, obviously, to get people moving more in Southall, and also there's Southall Black Sisters, a refuge there. Just thinking there's a good crossover. When you're saying about women from refuges, that you can see what a great initiative it would be to work with them, that connection of talking and sharing what information about what you've gone through at the same time as running it. Just could be, it's very holistic, isn't it, to exercise and talk at the same time. And anyone else got any?
Chattercise is a wonderful word that Celia used in her recent report. I thought, lovely, quoted it in my OU assignment. Yes.
Has anyone else got any questions about this project they'd like to ask? Chris says, is it just for women or is it mixed?
It is just for women.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, we need a male version, really, don't you?
One of the examples that was given in the webinar I referred to had two charitable groups. One was a women's only group, very much like ours, it sounded like, based in Barnsley. But the other one was, sort of like both genders. And it was interesting because, again, this listening to what people want. The lads, it was quite relatively sort of older teenagers, early 20s. That was the age group they were dealing with, but male and female separately. And the males were very interested in doing football. So, the football was then tailored to them. And that was actually very, very successful. And the only rewards they wanted, they didn't want T-shirts and the sort of things that we've been talking about, Helen. They wanted to be filmed scoring a goal and then that being put on Facebook. And I thought, yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
I've just put in, I've got the question, how can we connect, refer to you? And I've dropped in your website and that's got your contact details. Is that the best way?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and I will email you details about Let's Go Southall. I've got a contact there because it's an initiative run by Ealing Council, and I think that would be a really good crossover there. So, yeah, thank you very much. Very interesting. Okay, so last but not least on the agenda, talking more specifically about youth mental health, is Rachel from Spark. So thank you very much for joining us, Rachel.
Hi everyone, thanks Toby. Yeah, so I won't talk for too long at you because I know you've been on the call for a long time, but nice to see you all. I work for a charity called Spark. We're actually based in Hounslow, and we used to be part of the local authority in Hounslow. We were the EBP, which is the Education Business Partnership, and we're all about preparing young people, so under 25, for the world of work. So we offer employability skills sessions, mock interviews, careers workshops, career mentoring, and also work experience. We've done it all virtually this year, but we're looking forward to getting back into real life. But I think moving forward, we'll do some blended activities so that we can have volunteers and students dialing in from home. We don't currently have any activities specifically tailored around mental health, but we are very keen to explore that area. And for example, we work on a mentoring scheme for disadvantaged girls who need a boost with their confidence in Hounslow. We're partnering them with the Women's Network at GSK. And I'm talking to Mind from Hounslow and Hammersmith and Fulham about how we can incorporate some mental health and wellbeing workshops in that programme. So at the moment, I mean, if you have any referrals who you think would benefit from work experience, or you have groups of people you might think would benefit from learning more about what skills employers are working for in a very supportive, structured framework, you know, we're not just plopping people into a business where we're giving them lots of wraparound support, then that's what we do and that's what we're here for. And if there are any projects that you think you're running that would benefit from that, great. And likewise, if we, I mean, looking at the list of attendees, if I think there's anything out there that would make a good partnership with some of your support, then I'll reach out to you, because I'm permanently looking for funding applications to apply to, as I'm sure you all are as well. And we are, so while we used to be based in Hounslow, and we work with their 19 secondary schools, we work with about 50 schools in total. So I'm in Ealing, I mean across West London really, and we're members of the Young Ealing Foundation as well. So that's about it for me really.
That's great, thanks Rachel. Shall I drop your email address in the...
Yeah, that would be great, thank you.
Okay.
Or do you want me, should I put, oh yeah.
Anna has a question.
Sorry, it was a previous one. I don't know if I mixed up there. Maybe it's a general one for not only, I had a question before from my hand was from since each presentation, because I did send email to all my, you know, each contacts in November, because I really wanted to work together because, you know, of the Polish Women Group and Jasmine Project. And I didn't get any response, and it would be great to work more in partnership. And you know, I requested conversations. It would be great to have this conversation, because we raise awareness at the moment through social media about mental health. Now we put focus on men, because there is a rise in suicide in men, and also there is issue with domestic violence and substance misuse. And the homeless group in Ealing, the largest one is Polish, and we had few clients that passed away. So it'd be great to really work, you know, effectively and productively. And when there is a service available, we would love to, you know, promote this. And still, the social media is the most effective way to do it. So I would be very, very interested in having this conversation. And we every fortnightly, every 2 weeks, we publish 1 hour long video. So if anyone will be interested in that, the video is in Polish and we raise awareness about mental health. So it'd be great to speak to others about that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Anna.
I'll just say I've just sent you my email and telephone contact again, okay?
Great. So did anyone have any other questions to ask Rachel about Spark? No? Okay, so just before we close, I'm just going to mention a couple of things. Seems like we've got through a huge amount in this meeting, which is really good. And I feel quite bad that I've had to shorten people when they're talking and hurry people on. So apologies for that. There's just so much to get through. I just wanted to mention that there is, I've read about a new drop-in centre being devised by Mind, and there is a survey going around about that, and I know everyone has got survey fatigue, but I think this is one of the surveys that we really do need to respond to make sure that when that opens, it delivers the services that our clients need. So I'm going to send that around, so please do take a few minutes to give a bit of input to that. And also I wanted...
Sorry, Toby, can I just chip in? When you say drop-in centre, it sounds like you're sort of physically dropping in. I think it's more like a telephone service.
Oh, okay, that wasn't what I read.
Yeah.
I'll have
Oh,
another...
okay.
Maybe I got a different message filtered down. I will...
It's like a crisis, sort of a crisis line, and it's going to be from 6 till 1 in the evening, seven days a week.
Right, okay, maybe I didn't read that properly, but I will before I send that the
Yeah,
survey.
it's all still in its very early planning stages, so you know there'll be more information going out.
I just wanted at this stage everyone to give their input to the survey, really, so that's why I've just highlighting it now. The other thing is that there is new advocacy support for people in Ealing. It used to be delivered advocacy by H-Power, I think they were called, but it's now being delivered by Voice Ability. So I haven't really looked into that yet, but I'm going to try and get them to come along and speak at the next meeting, because I think it's really important we don't forget about advocacy and making sure clients are given the support, or they know how to feed back to statutory and voluntary support services. And then just last thing, a reminder, the next meeting will be on Friday, the 23rd of April, usual time 12 to 1:30. And does anyone else have anything else to say? No. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining. Yeah, we got through a huge amount today, so that's really good. It's good to have a good pace. If unfortunately, I am unfortunately rushing some people, so yeah, hopefully bring a few people back to and give them some more space. Maybe I'm trying to get too much in it, but there's always so much to say. Okay, and I will send email out and follow up with everything I've spoken about today as well. So see you all next month and have a nice weekend. Bye.